All right. Not fun. Not a fun game whatsoever. We have not a lot of talk tonight, not a lot of talk about tonight. So we'll keep it kind of short and sweet here tonight, and I'll get you going on your way for Wednesday night here. But I'm just kind of pulling up some stats here, just really quickly. I don't always like to just like immediately jump right into this sort of stuff, but um, I don't know exactly how these numbers are always kind of looked at, but I'm always just like comparing and everything. But man, oh man, I just look at some of these stats and I'm like, God, bro, the Bulls' offense is dreadful at moments, man. And I sent out a long thread before the start, or kind of during the first time out of this game, because I didn't have it fully done before the start of the game. And I'm not here to just be like, hey, we need to like give Zach his praise. I'm not here to do that. I'm just kind of here saying like, yo, listen, the offense for the Bulls has been pretty dreadful without Zach. And different websites show different things, but in general, though, the offensive rating for the Bulls is dreadful without Zach. And I made this whole thread for two reasons. One is to praise Zach LaVine for how good he's been this year. But two, I did not really, this is a mistake. Oh, I need to delete that. That is a mistake. But number two is this. The whole reason why I decided to really make this thread was because my biggest thing coming into tonight's game was to see how do the Bulls play without Zach on offense, okay? And I think that's like a legit question to have. And it's not me saying that I expect the Bulls to put up like a huge great performance on offense or anything like that. I'm just like interested. I just want to see what's going to happen for certain guys. Just like how do they come out and play without LaVine? And what is the shot creating going to be looking like? How's the passing? Is it still going to be good passing? Which, overall, I think the Bulls still passed the ball pretty well tonight. So I'm not upset at that at all. It's just that you see the lack of shot making, but also just a lack of on-ball gravity certain players have, right? Zach's on-ball gravity this year, like people don't really see it all the time because it doesn't always show up in the box score. But teams are very afraid of Zach right now when he does play, and he is like he's drawing multiple defenders on drives. We've seen him at times get double teamed at the top of the key. His gravity, like, it does a lot to open up shots for others, or maybe not even open up shots, just to get the defense moving so that others can react off of it and get better looks off of it. So, again, I'm not here to, like, this isn't gonna be a stream of like, oh my God, Zach is the savior for the Bulls. I'm not here to say that. I'm just here to say, like, listen, Zach's gonna be out for either, obviously this game and maybe the next two games, but at least we know the next game against Toronto here. So I'm just gonna be interested to see how the Bulls are on offense. And I think tonight showed that Zach is a lot. Like, Zach's been the main engine for this Bulls team on offense pretty much the entire season. And unfortunately, when it comes to Nikola Vucevic, he's not Zach very clearly, but his shooting has sort of regressed recently, and so his offensive output hasn't been the same. And we'll talk about that a little bit in the stream as well. But appreciate everyone checking in. Appreciate everyone watching even after this Bulls kind of beat down here, where they got absolutely destroyed by the Celtics, and no one really wants to, talk too much about it. But appreciate you being here. If you've not already hit the like button, please do. Helps me out a ton. Appreciate y'all being here and checking in. What's good on Britt? Hope Patrick stays on the bench for the rest of the season. Clearly fits him better. I agree, man. It's upsetting that it has to be off the bench for Patrick Williams. Like, I really wish he could be in the starting lineup and give us these sort of performances, but I don't know. Like, it might honestly just be a mental block for him, where he thinks that in the starting lineup that he has to like do certain things, and he has to kind of be a ball watcher on offense. I honestly don't know. I genuinely do not know what it's going to take for Patrick Williams, because yet again, I don't think it's the whole, Zach's on the floor, he doesn't get as many opportunities. It's just motor, right? Like, it's just, are you getting the rebound and pushing tempo? Are you actively looking to cut? Are you making the correct passes and pushing the ball in transition, trying to get paint touches? Like, it's all about motor at the end of the day, and you can do that with other, ball dominant players on the floor. Like, LaVine's usage percentage is still basically a Kyrie Irving level this year, which again, Kyrie Irving's the number 2, so he's not like dominating the ball this year. So Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, if this is what it's going to take, though, to get Patrick Williams consistently into double figures in scoring and, at least giving me 5 rebounds a night, then, yeah, like, we'll definitely take this, right? We'll gladly just put him on the bench and just hope that he performs this way consistently. Like, this is very nice from him. So, big round of applause to Pat. I mean, I think in 2 games off the bench, he's done very well. And again, it's not necessarily the scoring for me. It's the fact that he's actively getting rebounds. This is more defensive tonight, but last game he had 3 offensive rebounds and had 4 assists tonight. Like, that's very good. That's the biggest thing for me, and I think defensively he's also just looked better. The scoring obviously is helpful when you're making some shots here. It makes you look a lot better too, but I think honestly the reason why he scored is because he was pushing tempo. He's looking for a shot in the correct spots, right? So yeah, I'm definitely happy with P. Will playing this way. It sucks that for some reason as a starter he can't put these numbers up. I don't know why. It would be a very nice thing if he could consistently put up like 14 a game and give you 8 rebounds a night. Like, I don't think that's asking for too much, and that'd be a very nice starter to have. But if this is his role, like, he has to just be a DeAndre Hunter, come off the bench and just be the 6th man. Sure, we'll live with it. $90 million for a guy to come off the bench isn't ideal for now, but down the road, I think it'll be okay compared to the salary cap. So I think it's all right at the end of the day. So, yeah, hopefully this continues, and we'll just keep him on the bench for now, because clearly it's been the best thing for him and for the team just to keep him on the bench. So I'm happy for him. Wish Buzelis was allowed to have the ball in his hands more. I don't trust other guys on the bench. I think maybe in this game I could have seen it a little bit more, like especially down like kind of like the end of the game where it's it's out of reach. Unfortunately, I don't really have much faith in him still when it comes to on-ball creation, like during like kind of in the middle of the game. I kind of struggled to like give him that responsibility like for now. I think it's gonna put a lot of pressure on him. So I think down the road for sure I'm all for it, but for now I think he needs to still just kind of work on just being a good cutter, decent screener, and kind of work within the offense, right? We saw him have that play where he went from baseline to baseline, and he got a 3-point shot, catch and shoot 3-point shot off of it. Like, that's the stuff I need to kind of see more of for now. I understand that we all want to see him get the ball in his hands and see what he can do, because even though he got fouled in that Porzingis, when he drove on Porzingis, like, that was impressive. Like, the fact that you're able to do a hezzy dribble and then go right into your scoop layup off of that, and with his wingspan, it looks really impressive, man. So I'm definitely intrigued by it. I'm not saying like, oh, we'll never do that at any point. Like, no, I definitely think at some point we will see Buzelis get the chance to have the ball in his hands more often. But I think still for now, though, it would just put a lot of pressure on him. And it puts a lot of pressure on him to like really try to, either break down the defense and kick it out correctly, or force up some shots that maybe aren't necessarily the best thing for him to do. So if it comes down to where it's like, we're in the middle of like year 3 and he's still like a shooter in the corner, then yeah, I'll be absolutely pissed. But for now, though, I'm still okay with it for now. I think he's done well. 20 minutes again tonight, which is great. He's pushing the ball in transition. He's running in transition effectively. His half-court offense, I mean, again, he's not exactly shooting great. But I could have seen, maybe down the stretch a little bit where it's like, game's out of reach. Let's see it. Like, you put that lineup out there where it was Patrick Williams, Buzelis, and Phillips. Like, yeah, sure, maybe I could have seen it. Still, though, I still think it is, at the end of the day, it is a lot of responsibility. Because he did airball that 3 against Porzingis, where it's like, yeah, you're maybe not ready for it just yet. I understand that was in the middle of the game, though, so. Montes/Pat minutes have always had my curiosity, but now they have my attention. So it is definitely interesting, right? So I've seen a lot more people talk about how much they kind of like that sort of combination. I'm not necessarily sold on anything just yet. Like, I think I'm just kind of here sitting like, yeah, let's see more of it. I'm not really thinking that combination no higher than like any other combination just yet, though. Do I want to see more of it? Definitely. I think that it'll be interesting to watch how those two play off each other defensively, but I don't know. I'm not necessarily saying it's like, oh, it has like legs yet or anything like that. So yeah, definitely want to see more of it, especially with now both of them coming off the bench. We should see more of that in the second unit minutes. And so I'll be intrigued how that works out. But yeah, I'll be definitely intrigued with how that looks and moving forward. Hopefully Buzelis continues to get his minutes that he should continue to get. Now that everyone is officially, or until once Zach gets back, everyone will be officially healthy on the squad besides Torrey Craig. So yeah, I'll be interested, and hopefully that is something that Billy Donovan looks at. We should have used Zach's offense this game. Congrats to him and his wife on third child. Yeah, man. I first and foremost, yeah, congrats to the Levine family and everyone there. I have, big congratulations to them. I do think that the Bulls obviously missed Zach tonight in terms of offense, and that's not a shocker. Zach's been pretty much just the entire offense for the Bulls this year. But yeah, I'm not exactly that shocked by the result tonight. But yeah, congrats to Levine and the family. And I'm not exactly sure if the baby was born just yet, but whenever it does happen, or if it has already happened, congrats to them. And hope everything goes well. Hope everyone's healthy. When it comes to the Bulls and their offense without Zach, man, like I'm gonna, I'll keep it brief again. So if you haven't already, I'm just gonna go ahead and just if you haven't seen this whole thread that I decided to post today on Twitter, I'm just gonna go ahead and just link it in chat. So if you want to look at it later, go ahead. You don't need to look at it now, but whenever you have a chance to look at it, go ahead. It's kind of just some stuff that I have talked about on stream, but I did go a little bit more in detail for some other things. But yeah, without Zach, bro, the offense for the Bulls is genuinely just it's scary to look at sometimes. The Bulls offense this year without Zach, I still think that they pass the ball effectively. I still love the transition play. I have a lot of hopes for the in the future that the Bulls continue to play in transition effectively. It's just that the half court looks so lost, and a lot of people were upset that Vooch didn't get a lot of shots tonight, but the whole point about Vooch is that with Zach out there, the defense is a hone in on Zach, right? So Vooch is then able to get some, more one-on-one opportunities in the post, or is able to get some pick and roll opportunities because Zach draws two and he dumps it off to him in the paint, right? If it's just Vooch himself out there, right? And I understand Kobe came back, but Kobe's not Zach, unfortunately. I think people have officially realized that. But if Vooch is the main guy out there, right, then if the defense is able to kind of focus in on him, then it's harder for him to get his looks. But not only just that, right? I think that we are seeing a little bit of Vooch's regression recently, and it's getting to the point now where it's concerning that I am begging the Bulls to trade him quickly, because it just kind of seems like recently, as each game kind of goes on, it looks a little bit worse from him. And so if for whatever reason, I don't know what it is with this whole Warriors deal. Again, I've said it, if the Warriors are offering 2 second-round picks, you should accept it immediately. I don't really care what the player return is. It's enough for me to be like, okay, well, we have enough to kind of either re-sign them or we'll trade them. But if you think you're going to get a first from Vucevic, you're just straight up not getting a first. Levine does a lot for Vooch. I don't think people have fully understood that, but Zach LaVine this year specifically has done a lot for Nikola Vucevic. Without Zach out there, or specifically without another shot creator / playmaker out there for Vooch, he struggles. And that's not me saying Vooch is incapable of anything like that. Yeah, he's still a fine offensive player, but without someone to really draw the defense over in the pick and roll action, and specifically what the Celtics were doing tonight was they were putting Drew Holiday on him intentionally, because they understood that, well, if they're going to run the pick and roll with Vooch, then you just switch it with Holiday, right? Which is then it nullifies the pick and roll. But if you're going to post up Vooch, which I've talked about how much I have talked about in recent years how I don't like Vooch posting up, and he's been good this year. But what the Celtics then do is that if you post up Vooch, then whoever Porzingis was guarding, Porzingis runs over to then take Vooch, and then Holiday then runs back out to the guy Porzingis was guarding on the perimeter. Okay, it's very smart. Joe Mazzulla has absolutely they figured it out defensively with all their defensive weapons. It's a very smart tactic to nullify the pick and roll, and then the post up, unless you're obviously Jokic, it's not exactly the best thing in the world right now against the Boston Celtics, because they know how to effectively nullify when there's a mismatch. they bring over the big man, so it's like an effective double. So Vucevic is forced to swing it out, but then they run the guard back out there to recover on the rotation, and they're so good defensively that it looks like nothing happened, right? So at the same time as me is like, hey, I'm gonna be like critical of Vooch and like saying like, hey, you know, the Bulls, you know, or Vooch without Zach is, you know, has some troubles. I will also say it's Boston, so it is just one game without Zach, but this was one game that did show how much they truly miss Zach. And I do think that the Toronto game will be more interesting to look at in terms of how they play without LaVine. But I do also think that this might just kind of be what the Toronto game looks like too. The Bulls just really struggle without Zach, and unless Kobe or Io or somebody's going to suddenly turn into like a consistent shot creator and shoots more efficiently, right, that I don't know what else their options are on offense besides transition play and hopefully just knocking down a bunch of 3-point shots, which unfortunately they had a few early on, but they just couldn't continue it, which is not shocking because your best 3-point shooter isn't playing tonight. So overall, my biggest thing coming into this, like, I didn't expect a win tonight or anything special tonight. I came in thinking, let's see how the Bulls do, let's see how certain players do without Zach, to kind of, you know, have him set him up, because sometimes what happens a lot recently is that like LaVine might not get the assist on something, but like his just overall on-ball gravity when he drives, the defense collapses, he kicks it out to somebody and then he swing it. Like LaVine doesn't get the assist on that, but that itself is just Zach creating a shot, right, for others. It's just him having that quick first step and driving hard and having the on-ball gravity. Like that is what, you know, really opens up a lot of people's offensive games. And so it's not that shocking for what I saw tonight, but I will also say it is the Boston Celtics. They have had their struggles defensively this year, so it's not like, you know, they're like the best defensive team in the world here. Oklahoma City's better, but I will say it is the Celtics who won the championship, so I'm not going to be, you know, extremely critical of guys. To praise some guys, though, I do think that Patrick Williams yet again had another great game, so shout out to him, you know, without Zach tonight, so he did a good job without LaVine, and you know, hopefully just can see this continue. Biggest thing for me again is just the rebounding. I appreciate the rebounding. He's just a better motor off the bench for whatever reason. And before like the last like kind of quarter, I think Io was actually having a pretty solid game. He was like 5 for 9 from the field. Had the transition dunk, obviously. He, you know, hit a couple of threes. Unfortunately, then the rest of the game he didn't really make shots. So I think Io was having like a pretty solid game until like the fourth quarter. Kobe then, you know, Kobe had a really rough first quarter, which isn't too shocking. I was expecting some rust, but I won't lie, it was pretty bad from Kobe in that first half. But that third quarter was pretty solid from Kobe, so shout out to Kobe for kind of recovering. And, you know, I was a little shocked because I thought the minutes restriction tonight was 25 to 28 minutes, and he played 30 instead. So I don't know what exactly Billy's doing there, but, you know, I'm happy that Kobe at least saw some shots go in. He kind of found a little bit of a rhythm in that third quarter. Wasn't exactly amazing. I'm not saying it was like, oh, you know, big quarter from Kobe. It was just like, hey, he hit some shots. He looked a little bit better. Got some transition opportunities and saw a 3 go down. Should have had another 3, but he stepped out of bounds on that corner one. So, you know, nice to see that some shots went down in his first game back. Obviously some rust, but I'm hoping that Kobe's going to look a lot better against the Raptors after playing a game. So hopefully he'll just kind of feel a little bit better, not so out of sync. Unfortunately, though, like, I mean, this is like the big storyline of like, wow, Vooch was not involved offensively, but I'm saying though, it's just like Vooch has not looked that great recently. I pulled this up beforehand before I started the stream. So here's Vooch's stats for the season. Okay, I'm not here to be like, you know, to bash Vooch or anything, but you know, still 20 points per game, still 10 rebounds. His field goal percentage has dipped a little bit coming into tonight's game. Like, he's below 55%. He's been like above that for most of the season. And unfortunately, coming into tonight's game, his 3-point percentage has officially dipped below 40%. He's been above 40% for most of the season, if not the entire season. And unfortunately, has officially dipped below 40%. He came in shooting 39.8% from the field, from 3-point range, excuse me. Here's the issue, though. Okay, here's the big issue that I've been seeing recently with Vooch, and this is the reason why I'm saying that the Bulls need to trade him ASAP, okay? Vooch's shooting coming into tonight's game in the month of January, where he's played all the games so far, okay? He is shooting a whopping 27% from three-point range in January, this month, okay? This is obviously not the last game of January tonight, but coming into tonight's game, he is shooting 27% from three-point range in the month of January, okay? Not only that, but his field goal percentage has overall dropped to 50%. He did shoot 50% in October, but that's in 5 games. So, you know, he's been at 60%, 55%, and then this month he is at 50%, which is still better than what he typically shoots, but it's very clearly a drop from what we were seeing initially from Vooch this year, okay? This is the reason why, though, I am praying to God, please, for the love of God, if you're Arturas Karnisovas, like if that Warriors trade right now is on the table where it's 2 second-round picks, please send it now. I need to see him send it now, because I really do not want to see Vooch continue to not look too great in this last week before the trade deadline, which is on February 6th here, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you know, he hasn't played too good recently, we're gonna back out of this deal, and then suddenly, you know, Arturas Karnisovas has decided, you know, his decision making to keep holding on to Vooch to see if he get a better offer, then backfires and he can't trade Vooch when there was an offer for 2 second-round picks on the table initially. So please, if you're Vooch, I'm praying, or if you're AK here, please trade him now. If that deal is on the table, please trade him now. Because I do think that officially we're seeing the point where Vooch has kind of come back down to earth. I'm not saying he's going to shoot 27% from three-point range for the rest of the season, but I don't think his consistent shooting of over 40% from three-point range, I think that was, you know, the anomaly. That's never been the consistent thing for Vooch in his career, unfortunately. So I'm just like, please do the trade now if it's on the table. We're basically a week away from the trade deadline, so please go ahead and do it now, because I'll be very upset if I find out that, hey, there was a trade, and then they saw Vooch's recent play, and then they backed out of it, and then AK stuck with Vooch still. It would be an absolute malpractice if they continue to not do anything at the trade deadline. So, I do think that tonight's performance from Vooch is, one, the Celtics have a very good game plan. The Bulls clearly weren't ready for it, but also, Vooch needs someone else. Like, Vooch can't necessarily, like, create offense by himself. His shooting percentages recently have dipped tremendously. He missed some gimmies at the rim tonight. I just think that he just hasn't playing as good as he was at the start of the season. His efficiency has dropped significantly. I have not checked the post-up numbers like I usually always do in like the last like 10 games, but I am gonna just go ahead and quickly glance at it here. Is it worse? Like, because if this is the case, then I mean, he has still dipped a little bit. I mean, we're talking about 80th percentile now for Vooch, but 1.14 is that's not terrible. He's still shooting 60% on post-ups, but we are starting to get to the point though where I'm like, I wouldn't be opposed to just getting away from the post for Vooch. Get away from that. Just try to really focus on your finishing at the basket. And I know Zach isn't here for the next couple of games, but yeah, that's gotta be something that where it's like you gotta start making some shots here. In my opinion, you wouldn't feel too much pressure in garbage time since he handled the ball so much in G League. I understand that, Brett. We're talking about Buzelis again, but yeah, I could get behind that. I like how he found a shot later in the game, but I really don't need him handling the ball as much as he does. Yeah, that first half, bro, with Kobe, it was dreadful. I won't lie. And even that third quarter where he was playing better, he made some decisions that were pretty poor. So yeah, still, that's the reason why I'm saying I don't know what Kobe really is moving forward. Like, hence why I wouldn't be opposed to trading him either. Because if he's really not gonna be that ball handler, then he's more of an off-ball player. Then it does really decrease his value. But yeah, I'll be looking to see kind of where kind of how Kobe does for the rest of the season, assuming that he's kind of more back to healthy. But also just like, if a team does trade for him, like, what is his role? Because I really do think his inefficiency right now, or his inconsistency more specifically, and his kind of shaky on ball stuff recently has not been great. I know he's missed some games, so I'm gonna give him a little bit of slack here, but Bulls need to make a decision on him soon. Yeah, I think the third quarter was a bit unlucky run. That's lots of open looks missed and didn't look as bad as the score reflected during that period. Well, sure, if you want to say that. I do think, though, in that third quarter, especially kind of later in the third quarter, there were some rough moments on offense where it's like, I don't know what the hell is happening. Like, the guys are running screen and roll, and no one was getting an advantage. If you want to say, though, that there were some moments where the Bulls just happened to miss some shots, sure. But that also just kind of shows you just how bad this Bulls team is. You're missing your best three-point shooter, so it's not shocking they missed some threes. But, yeah, I mean, you're missing your best shot maker as well. So, this shows just how bad this Bulls team is, unfortunately. And hence why we still need young talent. So shout out to Pat, because he was the main guy kind of making shots tonight. But after that, though, no one really else besides Kobe in that third. Vooch did get a fair few missed on Derek White matchups. Derek White is a good defender, but Vooch can't be missing those. Yeah. I agree, Charles. He missed a couple of easy ones off of Giddey passes. Yeah, there was that Giddey lob pass, like, from like half court to him that he very clearly should have made. He just missed two. Yeah, it not good from Vooch, obviously. I've seen this before, but underutilized tonight was the KP defender Giddey over Smith, giving Smith some big mess matches that at least once he really didn't finish on in the third. So again, I did just talk about this, Charles, but like that's intentional from the Celtics, right? I do think that like that's intentional from the Celtics, and it's because then if you try to give like Smith that mismatch opportunity, right, then they bring Porzingis over, and then the small guard that was guarding Smith initially, they rotate out, right? That's the whole defense. It's a very hard defense to counter because the Celtics defenders on the perimeter are so damn good that like they can run and recover easily. So yeah, like that's intentional. So like I understand it's like, oh, like we need to like take advantage of this mismatch, which I know Stacey King was talking about that, but it's just like it's hard to do that. Like this Celtics team, they have like a whole design, like a whole game plan, whole scheme around like, well, we intentionally do this because it nullifies the pick and roll, but we also do this because we know that we can effectively recover with our perimeter defenders. So we're not like that scared about it. So it's hard for like, you know, Vooch or Smith to take advantage of the mismatch because they immediately bring Kristaps Porzingis over, whoever the big man is over, to stop that. Like that, it's just smart, honestly, right? So I understand, but at the end of the day, it's like you need those, you know, Vooch and Smith, they need a guy to create some sort of advantage on the perimeter to take advantage of those mismatches, right? You need to find a way to effectively break down the point of attack defender to then make the defense heavily collapse, and then you should be able to find Smith and Vooch for better opportunities down low. Unfortunately, without Zach, they just don't have that, right? They don't have a guy to make that sort of mismatch on the perimeter to open up the other players. So, yeah, it's rough. Well, start right and say I feel Ball might be the best, if not at least among the best in chasing down balls, going out to salvage them. Oh, Alonzo, I think, is definitely one of the best in the league at doing that. He does a phenomenal job of finding ways to save balls. I'm always scared when he does it because I don't want him to get injured, but yeah, if he's, you know, ball going out of bounds, he finds a way to save him easily. There are even some nice moments on defensive rotations the past few games that maybe didn't pay off, didn't last, but among better defensive minutes of the season. Yeah, I think that in the Nuggets game, we actually saw some like nice defensive rotations, and then even in the 76ers game, where I know that, you know, that L was kind of hard, but like we saw the Bulls 2-3 zone actually look a little bit better, right? We saw like the guys understood effectively how to run the 2-3 zone and not like guys looking lost out there. It's not perfect by any means. You still need, you know, more athletic and lengthy defenders to effectively run it, but the Bulls don't have that. But I do think that we've seen a little bit more locked in defensively. It hasn't always resulted in better numbers, but just because, you know, Bulls, you know, lack of perimeter, lack of good defenders. But it is nice to see just a little bit more awareness and opportunities for guys, or effort, I should say, for guys on that end of the floor. Buzal's got his one block dunk and 3-point made tonight. So I'm saying, oh yeah, AV Breeze, yeah, you actually got everything to hit tonight. Yeah, that is actually perfect for you. He had 2 threes. He got that one block. Honestly, I thought he should have gotten a second one, but they got called for a foul. Yeah, and then he got the dunk. So yeah, you got everything you wanted tonight, which I think is honestly, like, I don't know if you're betting on that. I forgot if you're officially betting on that, but that's honestly a very good prediction, and we're seeing it. So if Buzelis gets his 20 minutes a night, then yeah, I can definitely see it happening. Source said that Brandon Carlson, that OKC signed him for a 10-day contract, seems to be doing really well, and well enough that they might keep him. Otherwise, he would make a good tall stretch big like Muscala. Ooh, okay. I don't really know too much about Brandon Carlson, but yeah, I mean, who doesn't need a stretch big in today's game? Not amazing, but a good backup center that fits the modern game. So I had made it a bit late, missed the KP defensive check, but oh yeah, don't worry, Charles. Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, I just pointed out just to, like, I'm not like here to be like, oh, you're wrong. I pointed out just because Stacey King is just like, well, Vooch is being guarded by Drew Holiday. Like, you gotta post him up and take advantage. I'm like, well, without Zach, first and foremost, it's hard to take advantage of that. But secondly, the Celtics just have a defense that's just so disciplined and so good schematically that unless you have the other players to really mess up the scheme, it's hard. It's hard for those guys to take advantage. And obviously, unless you have a Jokic who is just, a magician, it's hard. It's just hard to take advantage of it. So yeah, no worries about that, about coming in late. Yeah, I'm always fine re-explaining things. But yeah, it's not that shocking to me that the Bulls can find Vooch. Like, I was actually kind of expecting it tonight, just because the Celtics have always done this against the Bulls, where it's just like, yeah, we put a small guy in Vooch so that we try to nullify the pick and roll, and then we basically dare them to post up Vooch, and unless the initial perimeter ball handler gets an advantage on their defender, then it's hard for Vooch to effectively get shots inside. And once again, though, if you're wondering, like, well, what about the other parts of his game? Vooch this month has been dreadful from 3-point range this month, and it just got worse with the over 3 performance tonight from 3-point range. Not to mention, then, I don't think that, I mean, the dude's been basically shooting career highs in terms of, like, everywhere on the floor so far this season, which, coming into January. But I just didn't expect it to continue, and here we are. It's officially at the point where his 3-point percentage is dipping, and his at-rim percentage is still pretty solid, but more recently, though, it's been worse, right? So I am concerned. Honestly, like, I am definitely concerned moving forward that we're gonna see we're gonna start seeing like this number at rim percentage, which is not good enough for a 7-footer. If you're a 7-footer in this league, you need to be shooting ideally around 70% or better around the rim. Ideally more, because if you're wondering, Zach LaVine is shooting over 70% at the rim, I think, this year. And LaVine's a guard. So if you're a 7-footer, then I need you to be shooting better than 70% at the rim. And Vooch is starting to fall again at the rim, unfortunately. Yeah, Zach's shooting 71% at the rim. So yeah, I'm just like, I am concerned. I'm like genuinely concerned moving forward that it's not going to be too great from Vooch. And it doesn't help that you faced a Kristaps, or you faced a defensive-minded Boston Celtics team that's incredible defensively. But yeah, bro, I really need Vooch traded, bro. If that trade is on the table, bro, I'm gonna be so upset if the Bulls didn't accept that. You're not getting a first for Vooch. I don't care what people are saying about Vooch. He's had a very nice year, but you're not getting a first-round pick. I promise you're not. Unless you're gonna like settle for like a Memphis Grizzlies and Cleveland Cavaliers, whole swappy thingy, where it's like you're basically guaranteed to get the worst out of like these 3 teams, which even then is just like, why would a team give up that when you can get something better? Yeah, you're getting 2 seconds at most for Vucevic right now. So I'm praying to God that AK didn't mess it up and the Warriors are actually giving that offer, because I'm still sort of having my doubts about if that offer is actually on the table. Like, I think the Warriors might just be offering 1 second-round pick in Kevon Looney and others. But if that offer is on the table, right, where you have 2 second-round picks and you get Kevon Looney and others to match the salary, and you have not accepted that, then you need to accept that now. Because I just do not think he's going to continue shooting his percentages that we've seen so far this season. And if his 3-point percentage continues to dip, then the Warriors have basically no reason to trade for him. Because if he's not going to be good defensively and he's not going to be shooting threes effectively, then it's like, why would we get him? Like rebounding, anybody and any 7-footer can rebound effectively. You know, if he's not going to be shooting, you know, consistently efficient from the field, then it's like, why would we get him? Not to mention, again, he's not getting any younger. He's 34. So you really need to make some sort of decision here, because I'm really concerned that it's not going to be on the table, or the Bulls messed up their timing and they're like, no, we're going to hold on and see if we get a first out of it, and it's gone. So, oh boy, I'm scared. So we'll see what happens here, but this is kind of why I'm concerned. Now, granted, if Vooch does go to the Warriors, for example, he will be then playing with Steph Curry, which should help him get some easier looks. But that being said, if you're getting wide open looks from 3-point range and not knocking him down, then you're basically useless at this point. So yeah, I'm really hoping that the Bulls then mess this one up and we're still able to move him, because it'll be malpractice if we aren't. I will quickly just mention, I don't really know if that whole, like, I know Hayes talked about it today and he posted a video about it, where the Bulls apparently turned down an offer for Clint Capella, or some sort of trade package that involved Clint Capella. Not exactly sure what that means, and it wasn't really reported by someone that I reliably trust. But I'm gonna just say that I don't think that was true. Like, I think there may have been like some sort of like discussions about it, but like I don't think there was like necessarily like an offer on the table where the Bulls would get like Clint Capella and like some seconds, and we would trade Vooch for it. I think some, like, I'm sure it's been discussed in some sort of format, but I don't think it's been offered. But if, let's just say for the hypothetical, that if that was offered for the Bulls, then I am losing my mind that they didn't take it. Like, if that was the case, if that was actually offered for what, I don't care what the package was, but if the Bulls were going to get Clint Capella and 2 second-round picks and the Bulls didn't take it, I am losing my mind. That is malpractice by AK. That is insane that you would not have taken that if that was on the table. Clint Capella is on an expiring contract, so that would give you salary cap relief. You get 2 second-round picks out of it. Not to mention that you would still have a chance to trade Capella before the deadline, which is probably pretty slim that you would be able to trade him, but it would just be like, hey, like, you know, you should still do it. Not saying that I don't think this was on the table, but if that was on the table, then dear Lord, you need to have taken that. So I don't know. I don't really know what the exact plan was, but I'm gonna just kind of just put in my head that was not on the table. That was not officially offered. The concern of Vooch won't be traded so high for me at the moment. I am also with you, Charles, bro. I am right with you right now. I'm just manifesting in my head that he will somehow be traded. Like at this point, if it's like, if the Warriors are offering Kevon Looney and like whatever the hell and 1 second-round pick, I would also probably be interested in that right now. I understand it's like, that's garbage, but at the same time, I think Vucevic, you've missed your timing. So, you know, that's on you, AK. So I'm gonna be really scared that the Bulls missed their timing. He will decline value like Zach has. I mean, yeah, I mean, with Zach, it's gonna be interesting to watch because just the contract is just such a problem. Obviously Zach has played really well this year, so it's like Zach's play is not any reason why he isn't getting traded. But yeah, I mean, Zach's contract is also like, it's, you know, less years as we move forward, and he's not also 34 currently. He is currently 29. So, you know, the latest he'll trade for him is when he's 31, which I'm sure he'll still be playing pretty good at that point. With Vooch, I don't know. Has more impact on bringing through a new style. Oh, for sure. I mean, I think if you're trading for Zach, ideally, like I've always said he could be your number 2, but if he's your number 3, great. I want Sanogo minutes more than Vooch to at least be rolling some dice on the future. I honestly wouldn't mind it. Yeah, like I've gotten to the point where I would, if Vooch is traded and like, I'm gonna assume, like, again, just assume the Warriors trade does go through, okay? Where it is you get Kevon Looney back. I would hope that the Bulls would have a plan in place to then trade Looney immediately. I understand it because you wouldn't be able to aggregate contracts because it's the trade rule, but you know, I'd be interested to see if a team is willing to take him. But if not, then I wouldn't be then opposed to just, you know, playing mostly Smith and Sanogo moving forward. Like I really do think that's something to look at. Like maybe Looney like starts and like plays 6 minutes each half or something, and then you like play Jalen Smith and Adama Sanogo like the rest of the way. I would not be opposed to that, honestly. I would be kind of, I'm honestly at that point where I'm like really interested to see what Sanogo has. He's officially been selected to go to the All-Star thing, so congrats to him. You know, officially the all-time rebounder for the Windy City Bulls. So yeah, I'm definitely at that point where I'm interested to see what he has. I have not watched a lot of Sanogo this year, but I have been, you know, keeping track of his stats, and it's been pretty impressive. So I will be interested to see if that is something that the Bulls look into if Vooch is traded. If you're not aware, though, Sanogo has been selected to the next up, League Up Next game presented by AT&T at All-Star Weekend. So this will be cool to see. So he's part of that G League team that was selected to play at All-Star Weekend. So I'm really happy for him. And we'll see how well he does overall. Go really quickly though, if you want to just kind of look at these stats here, like, so reminder, in G League there's a difference. Okay, like the regular season doesn't start so much later for G League, so if you're wondering about regular season stats, these are the regular season stats for Sanogo. But tip-off tournament, there's a lot of games in tip-off. Okay, so I always just go to like the G League stats page. Sorry, I guess it's not showing up for whatever reason. But this is kind of, I always just go here because I think it's just the best thing to look at for when it comes to this sort of stuff here. So like overall with Sanogo, like his splits for the tip-off tournament, like, I mean, you know, 17 points per game, you know, 59% from the field, which is nice, like 11 rebounds and 1/2 blocks, right? So there's that. And I always just then like to just try to combine it where it's like tip-off and regular season, right? You got this sort of, you know, 15.8, which is what we saw earlier in that article. Regular season, though, is more recent, okay? That is currently what's going on now for the Windy City. So he's averaging 14 points per game, 50% from the field-ish, 10 rebounds, and 1.4 blocks per game. So not as many minutes. Not as many points. You know, not as many rebounds, and I think less minutes also, but that's okay. So yeah, I would just be interested to see what he has. I don't think Sanogo is going to be anything, you know, he's not going to be the star of the future or anything like that, but I'll be interested to see if he can be like a backup and just kind of see what he has in moving forward. If OKC doesn't have a roster spot in the offseason, go take Brandon Carlson, especially if the best rookie available is a power forward, which would be so nice to have Booz and a small forward or power forward rookie. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. That was just 1-for-1 with no picks, which is terrible. If it was just Clint Capella for Nikola Vucevic, I won't lie, I can see a world where you do accept that, but I also understand that there's probably, or at least I'm hoping, there's a better deal on the table. The Swiss Army knife might be old, but he is not that low value. Surely, you know, the Hawks have 3 usable centers. Yeah. Congrats to Adama Sanogo. His best skill sets are offensive rebounds, put back buckets off the rebounds. Oh, yeah. I mean, the dude has already shown. I mean, even in that, I think it was against the Wizards, right, where he played kind of like a full game. Like, yeah, his offensive rebounding is definitely one of his best skill sets. I still think he does move pretty well for his size. Like, I mean, he's 6'9", which is obviously undersized, but he is 245. And I still think he moves pretty well. So I'll be interested to see what exactly if he does come up and like play some backup minutes, like how consistent he'll be. He is going to soon be 23 though, so that is something to keep in mind. But yeah, I'll definitely be just kind of interested to see how he moves and everything like that. I'm overall pretty impressed by him. Like, I won't lie, when the Bulls initially signed him to a 2-way contract, I did not think he'll go on to average 17 and 10 or 17 and 11 in the G League. I did not think he'll get to that level. So the fact that we're here is a very good sign, and hopefully it's better things to come. So he's been working back from a knee issue. I think that is correct. Yeah, he has missed some games due to a knee issue. He has been kind of working back from it. So yeah, I'm not too like like disappointing in the regular season stats. Did you read Stephano's piece on keeping Zach? So I did read the Stephano's piece about actually, I'll just pull it up on my I actually put it in here on my thread here. Like I actually included it in my thread here. So here is, if you're wondering about Stephano, like Stephano's a guy that I have always looked up to. I've talked about him many times on my channel, but Stephano he's written for The Athletic. He's covered the Bulls for multiple seasons. And I got to go. I met him at Summer League, so it's I'm very thankful and lucky to have met him, and we got to talk for a long while actually. So it was very nice to meet him and everything. But he doesn't cover Bulls specifically anymore. Like he writes for Sporting News, it just covers the NBA in general. But he decided to do a Bulls trade deadline preview, and this is kind of just like laying out what's happened so far this season and what he thinks should happen for the Bulls. And pretty much what AV Breeze is talking about is just like, well, what did Stephano say about Zach? And so the little subheader of like, will the Bulls trade Zach LaVine? Okay. First and foremost, just want to point this out. Zach LaVine's on-off differential is insane this year. This is almost like MVP level on-off differential, which one shows how good Zach LaVine has done this year, but two shows how bad the Bulls are. He has straight up just carried the Bulls. He then went on to say that he probably thinks that it's best for just the Bulls just to keep Zach for now. And it's just because of the gridlock the CBA has put on contracts like Zach. I don't think it's a shocker that like even Brandon Ingram, who I understand he has injury issues and he has a similar kind of issue in terms of what Zach has of like, mostly offense, not much defense. I think LaVine's still a better player, but the thing is though with Ingram is that it's less money than Zach, but he's also on the last year of his contract, so it's just kind of shocking to see that no one's taking like a little small risk on him. And it's just because the new CBA sucks. The new CBA is garbage, and it's stopping from big contracts from being traded. And LaVine's, part of that equation. Ingram's obviously another guy in that equation. I will be very interested to see what if Jimmy Butler is traded, what that trade looks like. But what basically Stephano is saying is just like, well, look, you have this year obviously, and then next year for LaVine on the squad. All right. Zach is on a contract for next season, but then after that he has a player option. If you're the Bulls, he thinks it's a good bet to make, where assuming obviously Zach has to stay healthy, which is obviously a bet. If they hold on to Zach and see if once the salary cap continues to increase and some of the bigger contracts are coming off the books for some other teams, there is probably then a good shot where you will be able to trade Zach LaVine for some nice value in return. Not saying amazing, but you'll at least get some value. Okay, instead of you just trading for some salary fillers and maybe a first round pick that's like heavily protected, or a first round pick that is not going to be too great. You at this point you'll probably get some like actual value. Like you'll actually probably get like a young prospect. There will obviously still be salary fillers, but you'll probably get a better pick out of it. So I'll be interested to see what does happen here with LaVine. I do think though we are at the point where my bet at the start of the season, where I said that if LaVine is healthy, still playing well, that he'll be traded, and I'm looking like I'm wrong. So I'm almost even willing to wave the white flag, but I'm still waiting. We still have a week. But if that is the case, okay, where if LaVine is not traded, then I still think that's okay. And the Bulls should be fine either waiting until this upcoming summer to try to trade him, where teams will have more flexibility. But even if if they're not able to trade him then I think it's okay heading into then the following season and just holding on to him and seeing what you can do. See if a team is willing to give some actual value for him, assuming again he stays healthy for the rest of this season. I think it's a good risk, honestly. Zach has, just so you guys are aware, Zach has outperformed my expectations, okay? I said that this year LaVine is going to come back and average 24 points per game on 47, 37, 80 splits. LaVine has come back this year averaging 24 points per game on 51, 44, and 80 splits. So he has surpassed even my expectations, and I said LaVine would have a good year coming back. So assuming that I don't know if he's gonna go and do that again, where he's gonna come out and still put up 50, 44, and 80. Like, that's insane splits to continue on. But assuming that he's gonna do something similar, where it's like maybe it's like 48, 40, and 80, which is still very damn good. Then I think it's a nice bet to take. I'm hoping it pays off. Like, we'll see what does happen here. And with the current situation with the Bulls pick right now, which again, this was even mentioned in this whole article by Steph Noah, which currently at the moment, the Bulls only have a 3.1% chance of giving the pick to the Spurs, which is, it's really low. I mean, if you're making a bet and you have a 97% chance to win it and a 3% chance to lose it, I think it's a bet you're willing to take. It's just, the 3% is a little bit scary. But still, it's a bet you should be willing to take. And I think with that being said, knowing that Zach has been playing at an unreal rate, and the Bulls are still only, the 9th worst team in the NBA, right? So it's not like Levine's gonna suddenly make this team spectacularly better to the point where they're gonna keep the pick. But you gotta keep the pick this year. So that means you don't have to trade Zach to keep the pick, or most likely keep the pick. But it would help you if you would trade some of the others, like Torrey Craig, like Vooch, etc. So here, if you're wondering about Nikola Vucevic, he has basically kind of said that, yeah, first and foremost, teams are not going to be willing to give up a first-round pick for Vucevic. Vooch isn't going to keep shooting career highs from every spot on the floor, which I also was saying pretty much from the start. And yeah, it wouldn't be a bad thing to trade him. When it comes to Lonzo Ball, I mean, he actually is much higher on a Ball trade actually going through. I'm much lower on it just because, again, he is making $20 million this year. And if he is still going to be on this minutes restriction and can't play back-to-backs for the last, month and a half of the season, or 2 months of this 2 months of the season, it's like, what are you willing to give up if you're an opposing team to get a guy that is making $20 million come off your bench and still be on a minutes restriction and still can't play in back-to-backs? It's just not a lot that I think the Bulls are going to be getting in return for Ball. And also just kind of knowing how the situation is, I wouldn't be opposed just to keeping him just for the rest of the season, just to make sure he doesn't have to go on to some other training staff or whatever, which probably would actually be a better thing for him, honestly. But so far it's been good this year, so I wouldn't be opposed just to kind of just keep him around for this rest of this season and just let him hit in free agency, because I really don't think you get much in return for him. But if a team does offer 2 second-round picks, then I think you should go ahead and pull the trigger. That is something that I think the Bulls should absolutely do if that is the case. And then when it comes to everyone else, I mean, he did say it would be painful to trade Kobe White or Ayo Dosunmu, but the Bulls should be listening to offers, which, I mean, yeah, I think even with Ayo, which the guy I said the Bulls should be looking to keep, you should be listening to offers. So far, I mean, we'll see about Patrick Williams coming off the bench moving forward, but Steph Noah was right about the Bulls giving Patrick Williams this contract and how it is going to be a rough second contract, and he was absolutely right. I was wrong about this. I thought it would look a lot better than it has. That's not me saying that I expected Patrick Williams to become a better player or anything. I just, the way the market worked out, I was wrong about how it would work. And obviously, Torrey Craig should be a guy to be looked to be moved, which, honestly, I don't know what's up with him. I mean, he's just basically not healthy still, I guess, but I also just wouldn't be shocked if they're just keeping him out until the trade deadline. Yeah, this is basically Steph Noah's little trade preview for the Bulls. If you've not already read it, go ahead and read it here at sportingnews.com. He's a very good writer, and go ahead and read it yourself to get him the views. Yeah, I mean, I basically agree with almost everything he said. My only thing I will say is that I do think that Kobe should be a little bit higher in terms of, you might be looking to push for a trade for him, actively seeking one, not just only listening to offers. I think you should be kind of calling some teams about him. But I also understand that the timing of his injury wasn't exactly great, and if teams are not going to be really willing to offer anything for him, then just keep him at that point. But at the end of the day, I would not be opposed to trading him. I will also just say this. I understand that people are not going to be like, hey, we should be looking to trade Josh Giddey. all I'm saying is this, and this applies to everybody, okay? You should be listening to offers on everybody. If that was not clear, which I think it's been clear on this channel, but everybody should be on the table, including Jalen Smith, as much as I like him. Everyone should be on the table. So, like, even Buzelis, who, like, again, there's no one that's truly untouchable in this league, unless you're, you know, Victor Wembanyama. Like, Buzelis is a guy that is in, like, the category of, like, you're most likely not going to trade him. But when it comes to with everybody on this roster, everyone has a price, right? So, I do think that, you know, when it comes to Giddey, when it comes to Terry, when it comes to Jalen Smith, DHT, etc., you know, these are some of the younger players, obviously, on the roster, but you should obviously be listening to all offers. Maybe a team wants to take a risk for Giddey and wants to make sure that they get his bird rights before he hits restricted free agency, and you know, is willing to pay him a little bit of chunk of money. If that is the case, then and they offer you a nice offer, hey, like, you shouldn't be opposed to taking it. So that's pretty the chance of that happening is low. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying that it's like something just to keep in mind. I don't have faith in this front office to do some stuff that's correct, but we'll see at the end of the day. I'm hoping it works out in the nice way for the Bulls here for the trade deadline, and we're not sitting here being like, wow, we literally did nothing at the trade deadline again, because AK and Mark Eversley don't know how to do their damn jobs. Who's the only one don't touch because he is a rookie grade? Well, I mean, again, like, yeah, like, Buzelis is the only guy where it's just like, it's really hard to trade him, but there is always a price, right? Like, there is always a price. If you're offered 3 amazing first round picks, then I'm pretty sure Buzelis gets sent out the door. But no one's gonna do that. Buzelis, you know, like, he is the closest to being safe on this roster that there is. But everyone else, though, like, hey, there's always, we're always listening. There is always a price for these guys, and the Bulls should not be afraid to pull the trigger on some of these players on a trade. Once again, please trade Vooch if you can. Please do it. If it was the case where it's like, if that was the case where it's a Vucevic versus Capella straight up, like, I get it. Don't take that trade. But if it is a trade where it's like you're only getting 1 second round pick or whatever, but who knows what? Like, I don't know. I honestly think that it'll be interesting to watch what happens, because I think you might still need to take it, just because I don't want to bet on Vooch having next season to have a good season. When he's 35, his trade value will be even lower because he's on the last year of his contract. Yeah, I think you just need to accept whatever the best offer is this trade deadline, whatever it is, right? If it is the you know, Clint Capella trade, like, if that is the best offer, then you do it. But I think AK just needs to just put in his head that no matter what, we are accepting the best offer on the table at this trade deadline for Vooch. He's probably trying to find a way to increase the leverage for him and try to raise his trade value in any way. Sure, I just don't think Vooch is helping you right now if you're AK. Okay, he takes a lower contract, like low 20 million area, sub 25 mil, so he can actually live up to the value in time. If it's over 25 million, I would feel he'll crumble under the pressure and underperform more with Van Heat too high. So I'm gonna be honest with you, Charles. I don't even think Giddey at this current moment in time, I don't think Giddey gets to 20 million. I think the Bulls actively just say go and try to get a contract in restricted free agency, and with the way that the new CBA has affected things, where teams are just not willing to throw around money as much, and teams are really trying to get out of the luxury tax because of the repercussions in it. I think there's not gonna be many teams willing to offer like even like $18 million for Giddey. It'll be interesting to watch what he does get. But if I'm the Bulls, though, I am straight up just saying, like, just go ahead and just see what you can get. We'll match whatever you get, unless obviously it's like 30 million, then I'm just letting him go. But I'm kind of willing to bet, if I'm the Bulls, that if I send Giddey out to restricted free agency with the way that the contracts have, you know, the lack of movement with contracts this trade deadline, and I do think that teams will just be willing to give less money. I think Giddey's not even looking at 20 million at the moment. I think he's looking closer to 15 million. per year. So it'll be interesting to watch. If the team gets a cutter or a good big in the draft, then Giddey's the player to benefit the most, and probably the best along with Ball to get most out of Booz in his second season. I don't know about that specifically, but I do agree with the big. And that Booz will thrive off velocity and cuts once he gets used to everything else and can finish dunks better. I can understand a little bit what you're saying, but I just honestly think it more comes down to if Buzelis can like figure out like his body and understand more within the flow of the offense when to cut properly. It does help to have a nice passer to give you the ball in those situations, right? But I do think though, when it comes to that sort of stuff, like it's gonna require Buzelis more so on his end than like having a nice passer to help him out. So like Buzelis just really needs to work on himself. He needs to really get stronger to kind of effectively finish those. I like the improved play from Pat, consistent play from Matas. Hopefully this continues. I agree. Yeah. Noel, first off, good to see you. Yeah, Pat, much better off the bench. Buzelis has basically gotten 20 minutes per game the last couple of games. Yeah, hopefully this continues. I'm looking forward to it. I think GSDL will offer for Giddey with what money? I'll really quickly pull up Spot Track, but unless I'm tripping here, the Warriors, I don't think have any cap space heading into next season. Yeah, it's gonna be very low if they even do have any. This is assuming, which I don't even think this is correct. I'm trying to remind myself. Did Kuminga sign an extension? No, he didn't. Okay. So this would be the case if like they would at most, and this is projected cap space too, right? So at most, they would have, from the projected cap space, they would have about $3 million. That's assuming that they rescinded all these offers, so that they didn't offer a qualifying offer to Jonathan Kuminga. They rescinded all the cap holds on Gary Payton, DS or Dennis Schroeder. You know, assuming Looney is on the team, they rescinded his offer, etc. Yeah, it's pretty rough. If they hold on to any of these cap holds, then they don't have any money. That's the reason why I'm consistently saying with Giddey, like I'm looking at mid-level exception, which is going to be about $14 million next offseason. It's going to be just under $14 million starting salary for next offseason. So that's the reason why I'm saying, like, when I say 15 million, I say it for a reason. Like, I think it's going to be, Giddey's going to be looking at like mid-level exception money. So again, like around, like it's gonna be like just under $14 million next season, assuming it hits 154 million. So Giddey can like be like, well, hey, I'm getting the mid-level exception from some team, and then you know, he'll go to some other team like, well, I'm getting a mid-level exception, and be like, can you offer me any more with your salary cap? Then it's like, yeah, you know, maybe we can give you 15 or 16 million, right? But if I'm not mistaken, though, like the in terms of salary caps for, salary cap money for next offseason, I don't know how many teams really have that much money. I'm gonna really quickly just do this. Let's just see. So Brooklyn, obviously we know Brooklyn's gonna have it, but I mean, like, I guess that would be the team Giddey goes to. Like, it would be like a Brooklyn or Washington, right? If there's any team that's gonna be like really willing to offer him that money, it'd be those two teams. Charlotte's gonna do something with their money, which is not this. I promise you that. Or like, they're not gonna like sign Giddey. Reminder for the Bulls: this is not the case. They would have to, again, they would have to rescind all their qualifying offers, and they would have this money if they would if they didn't offer a qualifying offer to Giddey. You know, if they just completely just didn't resign Lonzo. etc. Stuff like that. So it's like it's not like the Bulls are gonna have money. Like they this is again projected off of if they rescinded off or if they took back all of their cap holds, right? So it's not really that. It's not a great look at it. It's not perfect from Spotrac, which it's hard to kind of measure at the end of the day. Because like even for example, right now for Brooklyn, right? Like if you look at it here again, like their total cap allocations are like $255 million. Okay. If you're wondering for Brooklyn though, like who would they have to like get rid of for next offseason? Like Ben Simmons is the big one, right? Like you would have to get rid of his contract or sorry, his cap hold. Like you just have to rescind his cap hold. But yeah, like Bojan Bogdanovic, for example, like that's one that for some reason is still on the roster. Like that's insane to me that he's this it's just like or sorry, no, he's on the team. I forgot about that. So yeah, rescind his cap hold, which I expect this to happen, right? You're not gonna bring back these two guys. D'Anthony Melton will get rescinded, so like they'll have cap space. Like I promise you, Brooklyn will have cap space. Will they have 100 million? I don't know about 100 million, but they'll have some money. So I think that's probably Giddey's best bets. Like if he wants the bigger contract, then it's gonna be like to the Wizards or the Nets. And if I had to make my bet on it, I don't think they'll be spending money on Josh Giddey. I think they'll be spending money in different areas, like taking on bad contracts for picks, and trying to really offer some like taking some bets on some more cheaper players at the end of the day. So if you are wondering though, like how could Giddey get to the Warriors? It would have to be a sign and trade. That would be the only way. And like if Giddey is like more than a mid-level exception, obviously that was what I'm saying. I should also point that out. If he signs for mid-level exception, then mid-level exception, right? But if he wants more than mid-level exception, then like it would have to be like a Moses Moody or something trade, sign and trade deal, or you'd have to sign and trade one of these guys that is currently a free agent or going to be a free agent. So maybe along those lines. Maybe it's a Kyle Anderson and someone else package, right? That could probably do it. I just want Pat healthy for a good stretch now. It seems like he gets hurt every time he starts to have a run of a few good games. Yeah, I would also hope if Pat could just stay healthy, that'd be great. Just to, hopefully just gain some confidence and just continue just to play better and show that he's better than what we've seen recently in the starting lineup. But he's the player that he is off the bench, so that'd be nice. To get a bargain for Giddey, then if we're able to if Giddey can only get like $15 million per year, then I think it's worth it for the Bulls just to bring him back like easily. Like that's fine. It's a pretty tradable contract then if you need to trade him. And it's also not like guaranteed starter money if you have to like move him to the bench. But ideally then he'll become a better player and you can start him for cheap. Do you think Zach/Vucevic will be dealt with before the deadline? So really quickly, Noel, so I did talk about this earlier, but Steph No, I think kind of laid it out pretty well in his article. So here's his Bulls trade deadline preview. When it comes to Zach, I made the bet at the start of the season that if LaVine came back this year, was healthy and played well, I made the bet he would be traded. It's looking pretty slim for me. So that is not looking great for me. I do not think LaVine will get traded just due to the CBA being absolute BS and his contract is just significant. It's not because LaVine has played bad. He's played phenomenal this year. It's just the contract is just too big, and unfortunately the contract and new CBA don't mesh well. So he's not the only big contract player that it will not be moved, that should be probably moved at this deadline. Like I think Brandon Ingram will also not be moved at this deadline because of his contract. And Ingram's making less money than Zach and has only this year left on his contract. So I just honestly think the new CBA has just messed up all the big contracts in the league. And we're not going to see any big contracts moved, honestly. When it comes to Vucevic, like, I think there's a pretty, I said 40% chance in last stream. I'll kind of stick there. Like, I was kind of leaning towards more 35% chance because I don't trust this front office. But I'll say 40% chance that Vucevic is traded, which is, almost a 50-50, right? The only reason why I'm not saying 50-50 or higher is just because this front office is just stupid. But from what we have been hearing, I do think that there are offers out there And if I'm the Bulls, like this, no, my mindset would be is, okay, you just have to accept the best offer available, right? I don't really care what it is. I don't care if it's like, you only get 1 second-round pick out of it. Assuming that it does help you in terms of the future, then you need to accept the best offer available. You're not getting a first, so if the Bulls are holding out for a first-round pick for whatever damn reason, they're stupid. And I do think that is the case. I do think that the Bulls are holding out for a first-round pick, and they should not be doing that. But I'm gonna hope that the 2 second-round picks and Kevon Looney and Sally fillers is on the table. I'm hoping that is still on the table, and the Bulls accept that deal to the Warriors. Like, I think that will be a good deal for the Bulls to accept. I understand they want the first-round pick. You're not getting it. I promise you're not going to get it. I'll gladly take the 2 seconds. I'll take Kevon Looney. We'll either re-sign him or we'll trade him immediately. It's a fine deal. So you won't just only be getting just the 2 second-round picks from Vooch, ideally. So I think personally it would be a nice thing. So I'll say a 40% chance it does happen. I'm gonna really hope it does happen. I'm gonna really hope that that trade does go down. But I have my doubts just because this Bulls front office is dumb. They're gonna be holding on to Vooch for dear life just because they're stupid. Toronto apparently wants 1 to 2 first-round picks for Pirtle. That makes a lot of sense because the San Antonio Spurs traded got a first-round pick for Pirtle. So I'll be interested to see if that goes through, because Pirtle's a nice center. The problem is that his free throw percentage is so terrible that it's he comes with some risks, even though he's good defensively. But yeah, I'm not feeling too great about that if I'm the Raptors, honestly. We'll want Zach over BI big time anyway. BI injuries doesn't play happily as a non-star with the World Cup USA team is a great example of him in a different system. Well, I agree. I mean, yeah, Levine obviously can be the off-ball player and also be on-ball player. Ingram's just the worst shooter, so he's worse off-ball than Zach. I also just think Zach is just the better player. I completely agree. So, yeah. Zach can mostly work with whatever style a team has. I do think that obviously playing him in a higher tempo with you shooting a lot of threes is probably the best thing for Zach. But if you are playing a slower tempo, I do think Levine does also fit into that just fine. Yeah. Zach to Golden State, I feel like it makes sense for both sides, but I don't know. Oh, I mean, for sure. I think Levine to Golden State has made sense since last offseason, and they could have had Zach basically for free. They could have had Zach for Chris Paul, and they decided, no, we're not going to do that. That was a major mistake by the Warriors. Don't know why the hell they decided not to do that. I don't think the Bulls were offering a first-round pick in that deal. I don't think the trade would have been Zach LaVine, a first-round pick, and for Chris Paul. I don't think it would have been that. But I do think that the Bulls were basically just yeah, you can have Zach LaVine for Chris Paul and a salary filler, and we'll accept the deal because we just want his money off the books. And you're not going to get that today, obviously, because they don't have Chris Paul anymore. Yeah, the fact that Golden State didn't do that is still kind of shocking to me, but, it is what it is. Yeah, I think the rumors have been picking up again about LaVine to Golden State. That has picked up again. I just don't know how it's going to work. That's my only issue. The Warriors have to give up a lot then. I don't think they're going to be willing to give up what they need to give up to get LaVine on the roster. Because if you're wondering, you can't aggregate Dennis Schroeder's contract. So it would have to be, you have to add GP2, which still doesn't get you there. And then you have to add either Kyle Anderson or Buddy Hield to make the money work. Okay. So you're already trading away Wiggins, which is already big enough, I think, in my opinion, because Wiggins says, he's not been spectacular, but they need a guy like Wiggins on the roster. GP2 is a guy that Steve Kerr likes a lot. And then you have to get rid of one of Kyle Anderson or Buddy Hield. I'm going to assume they choose Buddy Hield just because Buddy Hield has been not too great recently. For the Bulls, I'll just add Torrey Craig just tentatively here. Actually, that trade fails. Never mind. We will not be adding Torrey Craig to this deal. Golden State would have to sign somebody, which I don't know how far under the first apron they would be at this point, but they would basically be getting rid of $1 million, so I would hope that they would have enough to go and sign a player. But I'm not entirely sure. If I'm the Bulls, though, like, I'm being dead serious about this. Like, if I'm the Bulls, right, like, I'm basically saying that I at least need Moses Moody in this deal. Like, I would not want Buddy Hield. I would at least need Moses Moody. The money does not work then because of the contracts, which is fine. But then it's like I'll then take Buddy Hield then also if that is necessary, and then I'll also then send you Torrey Craig in this deal. So if I'm the Bulls, like I'm basically fighting for something like this then, right? And then obviously I need a pick, right? I'm obviously not doing this without your first round pick this year. And then I'm gonna argue or try to bargain for like a protected first round pick in 2027. Probably won't get it. So I'll take the Miami pick this year, second round pick, and then I'll take your 2031 second round pick as well. Yeah, I think I'm like, this is probably okay. It's definitely not ideal. Like I honestly would say that if I'm the Bulls, I might just be thinking like, yeah, I might be able to keep Zach and find a better trade down the road. Honestly, I'm being dead serious. It is still a bet to then keep. Like Zach would have to stay healthy. That is the bet, right? But it's honestly a bet I might be willing to take. So yeah, I don't know. I'll be interested to see what does happen. But yeah, this would have to. It would be like somewhere along the lines of this deal. Assuming that like no one else is gonna be trading for Zach anyway, so like you don't really have much leverage in this sort of sense. So you're probably not gonna get another first round pick out of this deal. GSW showing willingness to try things to go with the hot hand, historically a positive trait of their team coaching. So if you ask the Warriors fans though, they hate Steve Kerr. Like right now, it's kind of crazy, but like if you ask the Warriors fans right now, they absolutely despise Steve Kerr. They hate the small ball recently. They think that he's playing Buddy Hield too much, which maybe he is a little bit. But I also just say, I'm like, well, who the hell, like who else are they gonna play? Like Buddy Hield needs to play on that team just due to the roster construction. I would be more pissed off at Mike Dunleavy currently, who's the current, president of basketball operations or whatever, for the Warriors. Like I'm more pissed off at him because he hasn't pulled off a trade yet that is been significantly better for the Warriors, and they haven't found a number two for play next to Steph here. So yeah, I personally am just like, I will always be a Steve Kerr defender just because I think Steve Kerr is pretty smart. But if you ask a Warriors fan, they be trying to hunt me down for me saying that because they hate Steve Kerr at the moment. I'd be personally more pissed off at Mike Dunleavy. Mike Dunleavy has taken him out of the second apron luxury tax, so I think that's fine. So he has more wiggle room to work with, and you're able to trade more stuff, right? But at the same time, he has not done anything besides get Dennis Schroeder, which is just like, not great. I think they would sell Jonathan Kuminga because Jonathan Kuminga is aspiring, I think. I don't know where they stand in Kuminga because in essence, like I think you're right that like you would think that they'd be willing to sell Jonathan Kuminga because he is expiring, but at the same time though, just because of where the Warriors are in terms of their luxury tax, and the fact that they, they're always high in terms of salary spending, right? There is the argument to be made that like they want to keep Kuminga to kind of keep their flexibility open for the offseason. So like if you need to do a sign and trade, then you're able to do a sign and trade with Kuminga's contract that he gets. Which it wouldn't be that much coming back. Like it would just at least open up like an extra $5 million in terms of what you'd be able to get back in terms of salary. So like that's like my only thing. Or they sign Kuminga to a bigger deal and then they trade Kuminga later, just so that they keep the flexibility. Like that's the only thing I'm just saying, where it's like I understand what you're saying, but at the same time though, I think Kuminga might be someone they just want to keep around just to give him a bigger contract and then maybe trade him later when his contract's at least like $20+ million per year, so that they'll be able to take on more money that way. So I don't know. I'm gonna be interested to see what happens with this because I do think Kuminga has been very up and down. He's had his nice moments, but it's mostly been off the bench, like how Patrick Williams has looked recently. but I expected a bigger leap from him this year, and it just hasn't happened. So that'll be interesting to see what they do, because I don't know what they're going to be doing with Jonathan Kuminga. But if I'm the Bulls and I can get Kuminga for Zach, then yeah, I'm definitely taking that deal. Kuminga sort of sits in a similar position to Giddey for performance potential, etc. I think Kuminga has more potential just because I think that the shooting percentages is better, and I think that he affects the game on a little bit better on both ends of the floor. I do think Kuminga is a little bit overrated defensively. So I'm not saying he's gonna become like a lockdown defender, but I do think he has more versatility. And I do think he'll be a better scorer. But in terms of obviously passing, he's not better than Giddey, and rebounding is not better than Giddey either. Almost every fan base thinks their coach fails to make adjustments as holding back into young / bench player. Yeah, I agree with that. I just, the way that I look at it though for the Warriors fan base is just so odd to me, because Steve Kerr has been the coach for 4 championships, right? Steve Kerr has got them 4 championships as coach, right? I understand that a lot of people discredit him because, you know, you had Kevin Durant for 2 of those years. So if you want to discredit him for 2, sure. But, you know, at least you got to give him at least the 2022 one, right? Like, Steph Curry was the best player on that squad. Klay Thompson was not as good as he was once before. Like, that 2022 championship over the Boston Celtics, that is hella impressive. That was a Steve Kerr, like, very damn good coaching job, at least in my opinion. So it's just funny because Steve Kerr has been on this, you know, he's been the coach for this entire championship dynasty, and yet Mike Dunleavy has not been the general manager in this dynasty, and yet they're not upset at Mike Dunleavy, they're upset at Steve Kerr. I'm just like, what? That's not how I thought it would go. But I personally, if I was a Warriors fan personally, I would be pissed off at Mike Dunleavy. I would not be pissed off at Steve Kerr. This roster for Kerr is not that good. Like, I don't really know what to expect from Steve Kerr. Like, he's playing small ball because that's all they can really play. They don't have a big man to play the 4 besides Draymond Green, who's 6'6", and even he's probably like 6'4". Like, I don't really know what people want from Steve Kerr. He just doesn't have a good roster to put around. So yeah, I don't really know what the Warriors fans are expecting, but they're spoiled because they've won 4 championships in the last 8 years. Or sorry, 9 years now. Steve keeps players playing well, rewards the ability to take someone off from a single mistake. Yep, I agree with that. They'll say it's had too many years of just being great, that standard is too high. Oh yeah, it's just the Warriors fan base is so spoiled at this point. I much prefer positive reinforcement of Kerr for good play versus the punishment of a mistake that you are then afraid of repeating. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, if I'm telling you right now, if I could have Steve Kerr be the head coach of the Chicago Bulls right now over Billy Donovan, I would immediately take it. Like, immediately, I would take it. OKC is probably the only super positive fan base. Mark D is an amazing coach, though. Definitely the best current coach and GM combo in the league with Presti. Nobody can hate on that at the moment. Oh, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, like, you cannot hate on those 2 combinations right now. I mean, Sam Presti has pulled off a rebuild in very spectacular fashion, and Mark Daigneault has just been phenomenal as a coach. Now, I will say, though, Daigneault has a big test ahead of him because they did go out in the conference semifinals to, I believe it was Luka last year, right? So the expectation, though, this year is that you at least got to make it to the conference finals. You got to make it farther than you did last year. So if Daigneault can't make it, can't get him past the second round, then that's a big, that's a big blemish on him. But I have faith that they'll make it past the conference semifinals at least. But if you're an OKC fan, you want a championship, obviously. So often you see the OKC fan base even disagreeing, but saying I wouldn't do this, but I trust Presti or trust Mark Daigneault. I mean, yeah, I think that's what they should be doing. I mean, hell, look at the success that they're having. It does help having a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on your roster, but you also have to make sure that the coach makes the right decisions around your MVP. And I think that Daigneault has done just that. Not to mention, then, Sam Presti has made a one hell of a roster around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, I will say, Presti has some decisions to make. Like, it's not going to be easy for him moving forward. He has some decisions to make here, which I'll be interested to see if he is able to pull that off. But, yeah, I don't think right now, if you're an Oklahoma City Thunder fan, you can really complain too hard because you decide to rebuild after the Westbrook and Paul George experiment didn't work out. You rebuild it for just you were bad for just a couple of years. You got SGA in the Paul George deal, which you absolutely maximized that on, and you're already back to being a damn good, team. And you're already looking at potentially having your MVP in top of the Western Conference currently. Like, yeah, I don't think there's really too much to complain about, honestly. But that's coming from a Bulls fan. We're in hell, so I don't really know what it's like over there, honestly, because it's been a while since we've had that. That's a nice way to disagree. I can't say Mexico. Oh, I trust Billy. Oh, for sure, bro. It was just so funny watching some Bulls Twitter tonight, because so many people tonight on Bulls Twitter were just like, Billy Donovan making one great decision yet again. Wow, good timeout, Billy. Like, I wonder what you told the team to do in this timeout. I'm just like, bro, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not a Billy Donovan defender, bro. I do not like Billy Donovan. Like, there are moments with Billy I do have my issues with him. But at the same time, though, I will throw him a bone when he deserves the bone. Like, without Zach LaVine, this Bulls offense is a horrible offense. What do you expect from the Bulls tonight? Like, I don't know what Billy can even do tonight to try to figure out something to beat the former champs. Like, this roster sucks. I don't know what you expect. I really do not expect anything special from tonight. Like, what do you expect from the Bulls tonight? I'm sorry. Like, they had 31 assists, or sorry, they had 28 assists tonight. Like, they continue doing that. That's Billy Donovan saying, hey, you got to push tempo, you got to pass the ball effectively, push pace. Hey, they did just that. Like, they continue to do that tonight. What you didn't have is shot makers tonight, because your best player that shoots 51% from the field as a guard isn't on the floor tonight, and he's basically just straight up carrying your team. I don't know what to expect. Like, sorry, Bulls fans. Like, I don't like Billy Donovan. I wanted to throw him a pass tonight. Like, you're facing the Boston Celtics tonight. Now, if this is the case come the Raptors game where the Bulls look absolutely dreadful against the Raptors, then yeah, I will be on Billy Donovan's ass, being like, what the hell happened? Like, you should be playing better or coaching better. But you're facing the Boston Celtics in TD Garden tonight. Like, I don't know what people expected. Like, you expected this Bulls team to come out and have some fight in them and, put up a good performance without Zach LaVine tonight? The Bulls' offensive rating without Zach, according to NBA.com, is at 104. And according to PBB stats, it's 107. Like, I can't be upset about tonight. Again, if this was similar to the Raptors, where the Bulls come out flat against the Raptors, they aren't playing good defense, bad start to the second half, doesn't make any adjustments, and sure, I'm willing to really get on Donovan for that. But like, I'm not getting on him tonight. Like, there's no reason to be upset about tonight, honestly. I'm being real. Preston will likely not trade anything. That's the right call. That might get some bites if they don't win. I think Preston needs to kind of cash in some picks, but I don't know. Like, I kind of agree. Like, you don't maybe need to like trade for like a superstar or like a number 2 next to Shea. But I do think you might need to cash in on your picks to like effectively build the right team around Shea, which they've done a good job, but clearly they still need some size. And I do think that if you can upgrade over Lou Dort, then I think you go and do that. That's not me saying obviously you don't need to go trade for a superstar, but I do think you might need to cash in on those picks to get the proper like 3-and-D like solid player next to Shea and J-Dub, at least in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, you don't really need to do anything else. I mean, you have your first, second, and third options already there. So if you ended up picking rotations, I thought there was some magic button to beat Boston on the road with your best player out that you just didn't want to press. And here's the thing also, like, I've been calling for Montes Buzelis to get 20 minutes tonight. Hey, he got 20 minutes tonight. So I can't really complain. I got my wish tonight, right? So if the people are complaining about like, oh, Buzelis didn't get enough minutes tonight, well, I've been calling for at least 20 minutes per night. He got 20 minutes tonight. So I really can't complain about that. If you wanted to see the young guys out there, you got a lot of time of that tonight. I honestly think I don't really know what else Billy could have done tonight. Like, I didn't have any issues with rotations tonight. I knew the Bulls offense was going to suck tonight without LaVine, and they did just that. I knew the defense was also going to struggle, but just because this Bulls team sucks defensively. There wasn't like, it wasn't like anybody was hot tonight. Besides, you can maybe argue Patrick Williams, and he played 30 minutes. So, yeah, I think Billy did just fine tonight. Am I a fan of Billy Donovan? No, I really don't think Billy Donovan's that great of a coach. But I'm not gonna be here always criticizing him when he doesn't deserve criticism. Like, if he did a fine job, I'll say he did a fine job. I give him the credit where it's due, and I also don't criticize him when he doesn't deserve criticism. Like, the stuff that Bulls fans say on Twitter sometimes, it mind boggles me about Billy Donovan. Like, bro, I don't like Billy Donovan, but yeah, I am also just, I have a head on my shoulders that's smart enough to know, like, okay, what the hell is Billy supposed to do tonight? Like, there's nothing that Billy's supposed to do tonight. Like, I'm sorry, you're not beating Boston without Zach. I generally hope a miracle happens and we get a top 2 pick. Oh, please, bro. I'm hoping we keep our pick, and if someone lands in the top 3 somehow, I'll be jumping up and down with joy if someone just lands in the top 3 in the summer. I'll be so happy if that happens. I'm praying it does, but you know, we're the Bulls. It's not gonna happen. OAC would never trade Lou Dort this season. He's like a fan and locker room favorite. I'm not saying trade him. I'm just saying upgrade over him. Like, yeah, you can keep him, but I'm just saying you should maybe upgrade over him. For once, Billy threw out the young blood in the final quarter when down a bunch. Yeah, hell, we got a lineup today that was Patrick Williams, Matas Buzelis, and Julian Phillips. Like, I know a bunch of people have been calling for that lineup tonight, and we got it. Like, hello, we got it. So why are you still pissed? Like, you got your wish. I wish for Matas Buzelis to play at least 20 minutes tonight. He played 21 minutes tonight. I can't complain. Maybe would have liked Giddy or Kobe and or Giddy to split those minutes to make more use of those minutes for Buzelis, etc. But Kobe's on a minutes restriction, and you don't have Levine tonight. So, you know, it's hard. 3 is pretty good in the draft. I feel like someone might miss and take the wrong guy second too. Oh, I mean, hell, if we get top 4, I'll be happy, bro. Like, again, just keeping the pick, I'll be very happy. If we get top 4, I'll be thrilled. Like, if we get the 4th overall pick, I'll be thrilled. I understand, you know, Patrick Williams, we're all scared of that, but you know, well, I think every team will take the 4th overall pick over the 9th overall pick, right? I'll be thrilled if we get number 4. Is it gonna happen? No, we're not gonna move up. We've never moved up, except for the first year under AK, which, you know, great for us for moving up. But yeah, we're not gonna move up. We are either gonna stay pat at number 9, or we're some gonna fall to 11. That's how it's gonna work. We're not gonna get number 10. We're gonna either stay pat at 9, or we're gonna fall to 11. That's how it's gonna work in this year. And that, if we fall to 11, we lose our pick. So get ready for misery. Come May with the lottery. All right, just want to say before I do kind of my little wrap up here, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight. If you have not already hit the like button on the stream, please do. If you're watching the VOD, hit the like button. Helps me out a lot. To preview the Bulls' next little matchup here. So the Bulls are going to be taking on the Toronto Raptors across the border on Friday. All right, so 6:30 p.m. Central Time again for the start of the game. So 9 p.m. Central Time for the stream. Assuming everything goes right here for me. There is a chance I might not be able to stream, but for now, plan for a stream. So no Zach LaVine again. So I don't expect Zach to just randomly appear and save the Bulls on Friday, which, yeah, that's not gonna happen. So be prepared for another probably disappointing offensive output for this game, because I do think that the Bulls are going to continue to struggle without Zach, even though you're facing the Toronto Raptors. The Bulls have always just had an issue with the Raptors, no matter what the team is. Like, I don't care who's on the roster; they've just had an issue with them. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Bulls have some struggles on offense against them. And then I will be interested just to see though how they play, because I want to obviously continue seeing Patrick Williams play better, but the younger players like Giddey, like Kobe, like Io, and etc. I just want to see them play better against this team, because you're obviously not facing the reigning champs. So. Hopefully it's going to be a better night overall. Hopefully Vooch has a better night, just so that his trade value doesn't decline any further. I just want to really quickly just see, just because I'm interested. Because Vooch came into tonight shooting 27% from 3-point range in January. Obviously pretty dreadful from Vooch in terms of January, but now it's now down to 26% in the month of January after tonight's performance from 3-point range, where he went 0 for 3. So I am very scared about Vooch coming back down to earth. Again, I've always said that I don't think he's going to continue shooting like 45% from 3-point range for the rest of the season, and that's already been the case. He's already below 30% from 3-point, or 40% from 3-point range. He's now down to 39.3%, which I am not shocked by, just because like Vooch's shooting numbers in his career have never stayed consistently above 40%. It's been consistently in the mid 30s or lower. So it might just be, he just might be coming back down to earth. So I am really hoping that he can just play kind of nice until the trade deadline, and then we trade him and we don't have to worry about him ever again. So I'm hoping that's gonna work out for us, but we'll see. Mata seems a lot more ready than I thought. I think Buzelis overall has proved to me that he is more ready than I thought he was also. But when it comes to like more responsibility, I don't think he's more ready than what he's doing for now. I'm happy with what he's done so far this year. I'm like actually really happy with what he's done so far this year. His block, his shot blocking, his rim protection, his ball hawking skills have all surpassed my expectations for a rookie. His offense, it still needs work obviously, but he's moved pretty well within the offense. And he just continues to just shoot it with full confidence, bro. Like he airballed the 3 and then he shot the next 3 with full confidence. Like that's what I love to see. He needs to obviously get stronger and to finish better around the basket, but yeah, I think he's overall done what I needed to see from him this year. Just obviously just continue playing like that. Think Philly's gonna move past us? I hope so, bro. I really hope so, honestly. Because then the Bulls would have a 99% chance to keep the pick, and I'll feel a lot more secure about keeping it no matter what. So we'll take Harper second, and miss on Ace would be so nice for the Bulls. I won't lie, bro. I have seen recently that Ace Bailey's his draft stock has really fallen. Like people are saying he's gonna go like 7-8 now. I don't really know if that's true or not. Again, I have not watched college basketball. I don't know anything about Ace Bailey and how well he's really performing. I know about him, but like I don't know if he's been better than Dylan Harper or not. But we'll see. I'll definitely be interested to see what does happen there. In my opinion, Harper is the better player, and I don't believe in Ace Bailey. See, this is what I've been seeing recently on Twitter, is that Ace Bailey's stock has fallen more recently, and Harper's stock has risen. But you know, it is like we're not March Madness yet, so we'll see. I think there's 3 top guys in draft: Cooper, Harper, and Kasparas. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. And any of these 3 guys would be a dream. I mean, yeah. Watch it with 31 at halftime. I do want to go watch that, so I'm gonna end stream here. I do want to go watch that game, even if it's not that great of a game. I just want to see the Thunder play. Ace is falling. I think he might be underrated, but if he does, that's a big game for the Bulls. The pick is a bit higher. Yeah, maybe. Reminder though, if you're wondering how the lottery works, so if the Bulls are like, if they had the 9th best odds, the highest they can get is 1 through 4. They cannot get 5 through 7. Okay, so like there's no chance the Bulls fall into like the 5 through 7, or sorry, 5 through 8. Excuse me. So they can't like jump up to 8 or anything like that. So it's basically for the Bulls, it's if they're the 9th worst team in the NBA for the lottery, then it's 1 through 4, 9, 10, 11, and 12. That's the only options for the Bulls then. 10 or 11, 12 is very unlikely if that is the case, but there's a chance. There's a 3% chance of getting the 11th overall pick, and then there's like a less than like 0.1% chance of getting the 12th. But you're most likely going to see either the 9th or 10th pick, and you know there's I think around a 10% chance ish the Bulls jump up into the top 4. So we'll see. AC seems so super fluous. I don't know how to say that actually. On the OKC roster, they have the same record with or without him, in my opinion. I don't know about that, honestly. I think AC was really critical when they didn't have Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren. I think he was pretty critical for them during that moment. I also think just having that extra guy there that's a really good defender just to take heat off, you know, Lou Dort and others is good. Just having good depth. And I think that we're going to really see AC's value, especially as we go down the stretch of the season and into the playoffs. Like, again, we're talking about a guy that is an all defensive team defender. Like, I don't necessarily just think that it's just like, oh, you know, we're just done. Had to double check, but is OKC even lost a game with Isaiah Hart playing, or Isaiah Hartenstein playing? I don't know, honestly. I should probably actually just go to NBA.com. I'll just do that. Yep, he's played in 2 games where they've lost. That's insane. Bro, he's played in 25 games, and he's won 23 of the 25 games. That's incredible, bro. Wow. Bro, I said, I was so pissed when the Bulls, the offseason where the Bulls signed, Gallinari and Drummond, or they tried to sign Gallinari and they got Drummond. I really wanted Isaiah Hartenstein to be the backup center for this Bulls squad so that he could take over Vooch's spot eventually. Because I knew about Isaiah Hartenstein even then. I'm like, I think he's a pretty solid player. And it's just so frustrating just to watch that, you know, he's signed a massive deal and he's been so damn impactful for Oklahoma City. Yeah, that's crazy though. Yeah, good job, Oklahoma City. Yeah. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all being here with me. Noel, AV Breeze, Charles, who else participated? I think that's honestly all the people that Brett at the beginning, and Christopher. Yeah, appreciate y'all being here. Thanks a lot. It means a lot for y'all being here and checking in on even after a Bulls blowout loss. Just appreciate it. All right, I'll see y'all on Friday, assuming that I'm able to stream. All right. Bulls out tonight. We'll see how the Bulls play against the Raptors across the border on Friday. All right. Be safe out there, y'all. Stay warm. Peace.